Welcome to the Living Out Loud with Loretta podcast. This is my fabulous guest this week, Mr. Glenn Allen. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm excellent. This has been a great day.
Oh, tell me why it's been a great day.
Well, this is the last day of my 8 to 5 job. A lot of people have 9 to 5s. I've been working 8 to 5 for a beautiful company, and they just before we got on this podcast, they had a happy hour with me where they gave me a beautiful, warm send-off.
So this is part of your business consulting, is that right?
So for the last 2 years, I worked for a leadership development coaching, consulting, and training firm as the marketing director. And on the side, I had a coaching business where I was coaching entrepreneurs to grow their business, their online businesses, using membership sites and digital courses, which is exactly what I was doing both for my 8 to 5 and for my boss, who was the founder of this business. And so she was basically just really nurturing me to grow the side hustle. And so it was such a beautiful thing to leave on such a happy and positive note, and not like, this job sucks, see you later kind of thing.
I'm really, you know what? That says something when they want to throw you a Zoom leaving party, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that means you possibly have some champagne around or something that looks like it. In the bottle champagne. Still. Whoa. Okay, can we toast?
Let's toast. I've got some GH Mum here, straight from France, real champagne.
Oh, bonjour. Oh, wait a minute, we must toast like the French do.
Oui. Tu parles français?
Ah, petit peu, monsieur. Et vous?
Je parle un peu.
Oh, très bien. Prost. Oh, no, that was German. Oh, great. Delicieux. Okay, so for those of you that don't know Glenn Allen, which I'm sure a lot of you that will be watching will know him because he is the technical wizard. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's one of the hats I wear, definitely.
How did you get into, because I read that you are a Berklee graduate, as in music.
Yeah, Berklee College of Music in Boston. Not to be confused with the Berklee in California, but Berklee College of Music in Boston is like the contemporary music school of contemporary music schools.
So how do you merge, I'm a musician, then going into this whole technical side of your life? How did that happen?
Well, I'm kind of multi-passionate and curious. Like, I feel like lifelong learning is really important. I went to Berklee College of Music as a multi-instrumentalist. I want to be a jazz saxophonist. Actually, I told you I was playing some drums before we got on this call. I was also playing some saxophone.
Hold on, are we going to get a live demo?
Oh, no. It's a live buzzy demo since I'm drinking champagne. Okay, I can do a little something. Okay. And I know you're a musician, so I thought that was a really cool connection. All right, let's see how this goes. With a dry read, let's see what happens here.
Okay.
There you go. Only on Loretta's show do you get a podcast and some music.
I bloody love this. Now, I wish we had arranged to actually do a duet.
Oh, that would be fun.
For the show. Okay, I need to have you come back on again because you are fabulous.
Thank you.
So what was that? Was that an alto sax?
That was my grandfather's tenor sax from the 1940s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a Strasser Marigot Lemieux from Paris, and it's a very rare horn, and I had it refurbished so that it would still work.
Okay, so you clearly have music in your blood.
Yeah, my father was a professional drummer. I followed in his footsteps, became a multi-instrumental musician, went to Berklee, and, was in a ton of different bands. I had work as I studied a little bit of music production, a little bit of songwriting, a little bit of guitar and bass. And I started working right out of college in a music studio. So to answer your original question, I was working in a recording studio where we were doing things like local artists, some type of like local American Idol type thing, and some American Family Insurance commercials, which I don't know if that company's around anymore, but they used to have that jingle, American Family Insurance. So that was like a bread and butter. So I got into that and started working as, like a concert and actually for churches, front of house sound technician. But that isn't even like how I got to be where I am today. But that's just one of the many like roads and paths I've traveled along.
You are, okay, there needs to be either a book or something here. Okay, or a podcast. You are a podcaster, right?
Podcaster, yeah.
Okay, so tell me what your podcast is called and what it's about.
It's called Unstuck and Unstoppable, and it's an entrepreneurial podcast under the lens of, you can do anything in the entrepreneurial world, but nobody's going to anoint you. You got to get unstuck, and there's many ways to do it. You gotta get people that are going to come alongside you and help you. No one's going to just say, you're this thing, run with it. You have to step into your greatness. And so I'm going to bring in people who are going to help others get unstuck, both from a mindset standpoint and from just a very practical standpoint through strategic marketing and things like that.
Okay, so coming unstuck, because really, my podcast is about just how we find balance as parents, as adults in our lives, like being able to maintain and hold on to our adult life as well as our parenting life, and not losing sight of either of those. So you are not just on this podcast because you are a good-looking musician, but you are on it because you are a father of 3 babies. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah. 2 boys, 6 and 8, and a girl, she's 10.
Okay, but you do it as a single father.
Right. Yeah. Single father, working a side hustle and working a full-time job. Soon to just do the kid thing and the solopreneur thing, which will be so much easier.
Okay, but how have you balanced it? Because when you decided to start your podcast, how long ago?
Well, here's the thing. So, I started this business so long ago, and I was freelancing when I was doing a bunch of side hustles. So I was volunteering at church, and I was running a side hustle of a freelance marketer. And also I ran an agency with some friends, and I had a full-time job while raising the kids and going through a very painful divorce. And then once the dust settled, I realized I needed to focus on one thing, and it was my business and my job and my kids. That's not really one thing, but like I got rid of the side hustles, right? And I found some clarity about what I wanted to do and started laying the groundwork of what I wanted to do. And I think putting some systems into place for, how I wanted my life to be was really critical. I learned that you have to be very intentional and organized. And I don't know about you, as an artist, I don't think artists are the most organized and intentional people. It's like spontaneity.
Yeah. Definitely not. It's about having, the very late nights, sometimes all-nighters, waking up somewhere in the middle of the afternoon, grabbing something to eat, carry on playing your music, because your craft is your life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no sort of, let me organize, let me schedule, let me have a plan for my day. I get up at 8, I go work out. So how did you end up being this way? Like what made you then be a musician and also very sort of business and strategically minded? That's
a great question. So about, I would say 10 years ago, I was a full-time musician, and I love to teach. And so I started teaching to the point where I was overbooked. And I'd stumbled upon a way of teaching that nobody was doing. Like I voraciously read and bought books on, music performance and learning how to play instruments and things like that. And I studied how the brain works. And I came up with these ways of teaching people how to do things that got them really fast success. What I didn't realize was part of that method was I wasn't just telling them something, I was coaching them. And I was kind of getting them comfortable with the process of learning. And so anyway, I gotten to a point where I was just repeating myself a lot. Although I was getting a lot of results and I was having great retention with my practice, I had to turn people away. And so I thought, I could really scale this method if I start selling it in some kind of digital course. And I saw that this kind of thing had just come to the mainstream. And so I started a YouTube channel called I Am an Orchestra, where I taught songwriting and music performance, and I sold like a $7 ebook, and I think I only sold like 10 of them. So I made $70, but I learned a lot. I learned how to do, how to create content to get people to join a mailing list and how to do email automation and create a, website and things like that. And so friends started hitting me up and they're saying, how do you do all this stuff? And next thing I know, I have an accidental freelance practice. And I started using the money from that freelancing to invest in more and more digital courses to up-level my marketing skills and learn more about how to write copy and how to create digital courses and just all the online tricks that are out there. And I spent tens of thousands of dollars easily. And then it helped me land my dream job that I left today. And that dream job, I get to wear all the hats. I get to do graphic design. I get to create websites, landing pages. I get to create digital courses, memberships, virtual coaching, everything I ever wanted to do. They gave me the perfect sandbox to play in and keys to the kingdom. They just said, whatever you need, whatever courses you want, you got a company card, just run it by us real quick. You can have whatever you want. So I had so many cool toys. I had the best gear. I had everything I wanted. And, COVID hit and their business is very in person. And although I built some virtual components to their business, it really put a dent in their business. And so I started to kind of see the writing on the wall. And I said, you know what? Although they offered me a stake in this business, they had offered to actually let me buy out the company with no cash outlay, along with two other partners, or maybe a few others, 5 to 7 years down the road when the partners retired. And then as soon as COVID hit, I realized that just isn't going to happen the way we thought it was going to happen. And so I started planning for my exodus. But that's kind of the long, strange trajectory I was on. It was, starting out as a musician, creating courses from what I knew, freelancing, landing a dream job, and really honing my skills through that company. And then on the side, coaching people and consulting.
So, okay. Then you start your podcast. First and foremost, I'm definitely going to get back to how you are managing all this time to do this whilst being a parent of 3 young children. And as you mentioned, going through a divorce. Divorce is tough regardless. You know what I mean? Even if you remain the best of friends, it's still not an easy thing emotionally. So you're doing all of this. Now, is this because you're able to just balance lots of different things, or did you have to literally make an affirmative decision that I'm going to put all of these balls in the air and somehow manage to do it? Were you negating some other things so that you could manage to actually hold all these balls in the air?
That's a really interesting question because when I was a kid, I got this fortune. And it said, one day you're going to go far by juggling many things. And it's very true. It's definitely been my life.
Right.
Juggling my passion for music and juggling my family and juggling different things I've done with my faith in my church and like the activities there and personal development and business. And then also having the relationship side of things. I think that's been a really important thing to me. I never wanted to be tied to just one thing. And yet I realized sometimes you have to kind of go through seasons of focus too. And so I sort of rotate. I mean, being a multi-instrumentalist, I started as a saxophonist. My dad was a drummer. And so I watched him and the day I got on a drum set, I just got it. It just made sense. And then, I picked up guitar because I wanted to write my own songs. And then I had to learn piano and then bass and then stand-up bass and accordion and didgeridoo, accordion. And I play 11 instruments.
Excuse me, did you say didgeridoo? You play didgeridoo?
I do, yeah.
You do.
It only comes up I've only ever gotten one call for, a recording session to play didgeridoo on a record, but
still, the fact that you can play it, what's that one you play? The accordion? Accordion as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a better question, Glenn. What do you not play?
I can't play trumpet.
I bet you could.
I can make a pretty good tone on it. My friend has a trumpet, he let me try, and I was like, that's all I could do. But I understood the mechanics of it. But those valves, I don't know, that's a lot of work. I'd have to figure that out.
I have a feeling because the musical brain, it's a mathematical brain, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to instruments.
It's all patterns.
Okay. I don't play an instrument. I like being next to a keyboard.
Yeah.
And I can, you know, hit my fingers on any key. It's not the key I want to sing in, but I love the look of a keyboard or a piano, a grand piano. But it's a mathematical brain that can pick up an instrument and go, you can clearly do all of that. That's pretty, so maybe that helps you be able to manage time really well and manage all of the things, all of those, that juggling that you're doing in your life, right?
Good point. So music is just patterns. And once you unlock those patterns and you understand the rules behind them, you learn how to break them. And, you know, when you learn how to learn something, that translates to a million other things. And so the ability to learn an instrument one time translates to another time. The more you do it, it's repeatable. It's kind of like those polyglots who learn a bunch of languages. They say that the more languages you learn, the easier and the faster you learn languages. And that really translates to everything in life. And so I'm constantly interested in learning new things. And what I've taken from learning an instrument, I realize the learning process applies to everything. And so whether it's learning systems and organization or changing your mindset and the way you behave or whatever it is. And so I've had to learn to adapt and grow and change things with my parenting, with the way I ran my life to make things like that possible, definitely.
So I'm going to ask you now about the way you ran your life and your parenting, since you mentioned that obviously comes into it. As I mentioned before, any ladies that are watching or listening, Glenn is single, is he?
I am dating.
Okay, I wanted that answer because I wanted to ask you, so how are you managing to balance everything that you're doing with the 3 young children, a divorce, you know, an ex-wife, and then the dating life, especially now, so everyone's dating online, right? So yeah. How are you managing to fit that in, and what are your children feeling about it? What are the ages of your children, first and foremost?
6, 8, 10. 2 boys, a girl who's the boss of the house. Yeah.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. So what do they think about you dating?
You know, I think they kind of saw what happened. I think my oldest really has a sense for, I think she's very perceptive, and I think she wants me to be happy. And so she's been very supportive of me dating and having somebody. So that's been great. And so the way in which I've been managing it, there's times when I kind of beat myself up where I'm like, I wish I spent more quality time. Other people would go like, oh my gosh, most fathers who are in a what we call a nuclear family or a mother-father situation, they're not even spending that kind of investment in their kids. So quit beating yourself up. So that's been very helpful to have other people see and be a soundboard. But I have systems in place. I've had to learn to be, you have to let go of your identity in that I'm not a morning person, or I'm a night owl, because that was me for years, or I'm not organized. Those are just identities and blueprints for our lives that we run on that don't always serve us. They might serve us for a time. I had this, I've had a few of those in my life. You know, I've always been the smallest kid in school, the least athletic, and the scrawniest. And then I talked to my dad, who's always weightlifted and always been a big dude. And I was like, Dad, were you always like that? He said, no, I used to be just like you. And the bulb went on in my mind. I thought, oh my God, I could be like a bigger guy like my dad. So in a matter of 2 years of just like consistent working out and eating and figuring out how to eat properly, I put on 20 pounds of muscle and I became less of a scrawny guy and actually a fit person. And that really got the wheel turning. Like, if I can change that identity, what else is malleable about the things that we take for granted about ourselves? And so I attack the mentality that I'm just a night person and therefore I can't get up early. And I've learned that actually there's immense productivity and just energy that comes from getting up early before my kids. And I'm not reactive or crabby with them, you know? They really seem to appreciate that I get up before them and I have certain things ready for them. And that allows them to be a little bit more, shall we say, independent.
So, okay, if you're sitting with a friend or someone you just meet at a pub or a bar, my Englishness coming out here, but like, they're like, you know, in awe of the fact that you've managed to turn yourself from a night person, for instance, into a morning person. What would you advise them? What would you say to them about people that aren't able to find a way to kind of make the changes within themselves, or don't believe that they have the power? Like they just give it up, say, oh, I'm not this, so well, that's it. What would you say to them? Like what's the strength? What's the willpower? What are the words you say to yourself in the mirror every morning to say, no, you have to do this. You just have to do it. How would you tell a friend to say, you can change it. You are responsible for making that change yourself?
Two things. So that kind of gets into the whole growth mindset of things. So there's a few people out there. One is Carolyn Dweck and the other one's, I think, Carol Leaf or something. But they're doctors who have done a lot of research on the way our brains work and the way we can change. And what they say essentially is that what we think affects what we believe, what affects how we behave. And so if you want to change a behavior, you have to change your identity and your thoughts around that identity. So for instance, I said, you know, before, I'm a night owl. Well, that affected my behavior. I would stay up late and get up really late. But if I said, I am someone who, then you're able to choose your identity. And what is when you pick that identity, like let's say your identity is I'm an author. Okay, great. What does an author do? An author writes maybe daily and has a space for writing. And so they will do the things an author does. And then when they're doing the behaviors, they become the identity. So it's like a cyclical thing of behavior and identity. And that's a really important thing for people to try, because it really works. It's a rinse and repeat kind of thing.
So would you recommend maybe like putting like, you know, writing on your mirror or putting up you know, sticky notes to remind yourself, say, okay, I am a morning runner. Like I hate running. I am now literally speaking in third person, but really I am speaking in first person. My sister came here to come and visit for a couple of weeks before going off to Chicago for a soccer coaching job. She runs everywhere. I'm like, running. I am now a morning runner. Every morning, and my children are running as well. I don't like it, but do I like what it's doing to my body? Yes, of course I do. So if I stop doing it, why stop it if it's working? If you like so I need to remind myself, okay, get up every morning, go and run. Once you do it, it's done. And you will benefit from the results of changing a pattern of behavior by giving yourself no, I don't do that. I'm not that type of person. I don't do that. You're already blocking yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Right? When we say I'm not this, that's an opportunity to kind of look at, you know, who said, you know, whose script are you running in your life, you know? So that running is one of those things for me too. I found that, you know, an early morning jog, oh my gosh, what clarity you get from that. How many great ideas you come up with when you're running.
Well, I mean, I can't say that I have too many ideas, because I run we created like a little group. So I run and talk, because talking is one of my favorite things in the whole world. So I run and talk, but before I get up, I'm awake at whatever time. It's that time where people say that they meditate or whatever. I certainly speak to God. I'd like to speak to you also about your faith as well. But I speak to God, but also then the thoughts, that's when I get the most, because it's my time. So I get the most thoughts, the most thinking done first thing in the morning when my eyes first open and I'm lying there. It could still be dark outside, but my brain is going, because when I get up, it starts going, So tell me about your faith. You mentioned it before. So you were playing in your church. Did you grow up being a spiritual person or a religious person?
No. You know, what's really strange is my father used to say, you know, the church is just a thing for people who are scared of dying to feel better about dying, which I thought was the most depressing thing anybody could say about the church. And what's interesting is, you know, my mom and my dad hit a rough patch and they started seeking out some counsel and some help, and they started going to church. Now they became like born again hardcore Christians and a little bit judgy and weird, and they went through this like weird kind of period, and I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. But
they would not approve of
I mean, they weren't like that legalistic, but you know, they're just kind of weird. And so I went to church with them a couple of times, but I had always believed in God, despite having no church upbringing. I just knew there's something out there, and needed to be discovered. And some point at school, I got really sick, and I ended up in Mass General Hospital in the emergency room, and because I was living in Boston. And they're like, yeah, you can't leave here. You have to stay here. Your kidneys could fail. You're severely dehydrated. I don't know what was wrong with me. I just remember it may have been like mono or something, but I remember I couldn't eat. It hurt to eat and swallow and drink. And so I was severely sick. And I just remember thinking, you need to find out who God is, and just discover what that's all about and get right with him. And so it just started me on this journey of learning and seeking and looking into different things. And somewhere along the line, it wasn't like a lightning aha moment. It was kind of a gradual surrender that I found faith. And so now it's a very core part of my life, but I don't know where I'm going with that, actually. I guess it's just that is my faith. You know,
It's because it's a positive aspect of your life. So for other people, that aren't necessarily religious or spiritual, it could be, something else, but anything that's positive, that helps you along your journey, make the positive decisions, or deal with, handle the bumps, that come up in our lives. I think that's a great thing to know, that, someone like you actually has a connection with that. So, going forward as a single father of three, and, dating and podcasting and all the sort of entrepreneurship ideas. I don't know if that's the correct way to put it.
I know, I had to look that up. It's either entrepreneurship or entrepreneurialism. I don't know.
Oh, yes. I think it's entrepreneurialism.
Yes.
Okay, we both agree. So, so I would like to know, just in finishing, because I don't want to keep you all night, because I can talk all night, and I love the fact that you're very open to speaking about everything. What would be your advice to my listeners and my viewers if they are stuck in that rut of not quite knowing where to move, how to move, if they feel like they're drowning in certain things taking over? Like, I was once an adult, I was once a really hot woman, I was once a really hot guy, and then kids came into my life and work and adulting, and I don't know who I am anymore. I remember watching an episode of Oprah when I was pregnant with my first child, and some of the mothers there were like, I haven't taken a shower in 3 weeks. I was appalled. How does that happen?
Oh my gosh, I really enjoyed your English, your American accent there for a second there. That was great.
I've been practicing. No, honey, sweetie, I'm an actress, okay? So I come from the world of doing lots of accents, lots of everything. If you Google me, you'll see my work, okay?
Okay.
Anyway, coming back.
Okay.
Like, how do you tell someone that doesn't have the tools to find balance or schedule or whatever? How do you help them get started? What are the first things you would say? Okay, let's start with a calendar, whatever, a planner, or what would be the first things you say?
How about I tell you a story, because stories are what people connect with.
Yes.
I could give you a thing and you can walk away and maybe it'll stick, but maybe it won't. But stories light up the brain, right?
Yes.
So I just told the story on my happy hour with my coworkers, because it was at an event that some of them were at. I was at this event called Inspire, and this best-selling author, Greg McKeown, he is British. He wrote this amazing bestseller book called Essentialism. I don't remember what it is. It's basically I don't remember what the subtitle is, but something like getting more of what you want by doing less, or something like that. I don't know, but the company I worked for, we were the co-founder was the MC of the event, and the event brought in like TED talkers, best-selling authors, all kinds of inspiring people, and I knew that if I volunteered, I might get an opportunity to kind of hobnob with them and maybe, talk to some people, some authors and things like that. And I had some aspirations of writing, and I still do. So I got a microphone and I was given the task of running a microphone out to crowd participants if they had a question. So I have this handheld wireless microphone in my lap and I'm ready to go. So Greg gets up there and he's the first speaker of the day. And he starts talking about how sometimes our lives are like this cluttered closet full of things that no longer serve us. We have this, women might have this dress where it's like, I bought that because I thought, that would go really good with something, but I never bought the other thing, right? And so it's just still there and it doesn't match anything. And you have all these things that's like, okay, well, I bought this for, this event or that event. And you never wear it, or, things that you had, but you don't want to let go of them because it's like, that was the time that I did this, or you get nostalgic about it. And so you have these pieces that they take up your entire closet, but they leave no room for the thing that you want most in your closet, the clothes that you think like, this is my identity, this is who I want to see myself as, this is who I want to be. And that's obviously an analogy for life. We have these things that we quote unquote have to do. We have these things that we take on because they're expected of us. For me, it was my agency and side hustles, my freelance work that I was underpaid for, the agency with my friends that I thought would be fun, but I realized if that became successful, it wasn't actually what I wanted to do in life. And so he asked the audience, does anybody have these lives that are like a full closet full of stuff with things that leave no room for joy, no room for the things you actually want? And my hand shot up and he goes, let's get this guy a microphone. And I picked up the microphone in my lap and I said, I have a microphone. And the crowd laughed. He goes, why do you have a microphone? I said, I always carry a microphone. And everyone was laughing. And so he pulls me on stage and he said, what is something in your life that you've always wanted to do, or something that you need in your life, but everything else crowds it out? And I said, it's all these side hustles. Okay, so the thing I want in my life is I want more quality time with my kids, and I want the freedom to actually do something like what I'm doing right now, being a business coach and creating a platform to teach and inspire other people everything I know. And so on that stage in that moment, I realized, okay, I gotta tell my best friends who I started with this agency with that I'm leaving, and I gotta get rid of all those underpaying side hustles for cash, because it's crowding out my ability to pursue my dreams. And so he gave me some advice about how to do that and such. But what was really key about that moment is I was on stage looking out at the crowd, sitting with my microphone, and I was so at home looking at all those people. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to talk to people. I want to be a public speaker. I grew up in the performance world. My dad was a professional musician, so I always loved the stage. But this was bigger and better than just being a musician on stage and performing. This is like something with purpose. And so what I'd encourage people to do is think about, what are all those things that we feel like we're obligated to do, but are actually no longer serving us anymore? And quenching our ability, or like squishing out our ability to find time for our true purpose and the things that give our lives meaning.
And that's a hard thing to do, to literally sit maybe and make a list, or to be honest and make that list in your head, in your mind, or whatever, or because you're always going to find, because I am that woman who, I have many, many outfits in my closet that have not been worn, or will come into, but they do come in handy one day. They always do. If they don't fit you, listen, shoes and bags will always fit. Am I wrong? Someone raise a hand. Oh, there's no audience. Damn it. But right, shoes and bags will always fit. But your clothes, yes, okay. It is okay to let go. It's okay to let go and move on, and then make space for something. Best. Yes.
This is true of relationships. This is true of jobs. This is true of everything.
Yes. So how do you have to remind yourself that you are worthy of receiving the things that are right for you? Because you didn't want to let your friends down. Your friends who you were doing the show, the business with, you didn't want to let them down. But were you not worthy of having the right business avenue for you?
That's a good question. I don't know if I had any issues with the worth part of things. Fortunately, my friends were very supportive and they got it.
Yeah.
And they're like, we get it. We're sad, but this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And so I partnered with a life coach, best friend of mine, and we created our first, well, not my first, but our first combined YouTube channel on personal development and taking our passion for that sort of thing. And even that, you know, at some point he had to leave, kind of like I had to leave my friends. He realized through all the work we were doing together and all the things we're talking about, this wasn't serving his ultimate purpose. He goes, you're the entrepreneur. You should run with this channel. Take the YouTube channel over, rebrand it, make it so I made it the Glenn Allen Show, and do whatever you want with it and launch your business with it. And so that's what I ended up doing. But
so say the name again. It's the
Glenn Allen Show.
Glenn Allen. It's Glenn with 2 N's, by the way.
That's right.
And you really are finding a lot of joy from because it's just you're doing something, it seems, that comes very naturally to you, which means it's not really work, right?
That's a great point. You know, when you do things that you really love doing, it doesn't feel like work at all, and you can really invest your time and yourself into it and lose time in it. That's always a good sign that you're doing something that you should be doing.
Yeah. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you for spending this time with me, albeit virtual. One day I hope we will be able to actually do a proper cheers in real life.
That'd be great. I need to come back to New York.
Yeah, hello, New York. New York needs some life right now. It is suffering. It's like a ghost town. It's not great. But what it is doing, I think, for a lot of people, it's making a lot of people aware of the fragility of life in general. And like, okay, what do I want to do? What have I always wanted to do? How can I go and approach and attack what it is that I want to do? So people like you are very inspirational because you have a lot of things that you are working with. It's like, okay, I need to just bite the bullet or take the bull by the horns or whatever you want to use and just go for it. Because if you keep doing things for other people, you never get to yourself. And then before you know it, so your children deserve that example.
And that is a big, big motivating factor. That is part of my value system is I want my kids to see you can make your opportunities. Don't just take the status quo for granted and think that this is my lot in life. You can have what you want, but you got to go for it. Nobody is going to just hand it to you.
Thank you. Oh, I want to sing a song. No, I'm not going to. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to do a selfie, but I think, don't worry. I'll grab a selfie on the replay.
There we go.
Pretend I'm there in real life. Thank you, Glenn. I really appreciate you spending this time. I will put all your information in all of the bits and pieces where I'm supposed to write. We didn't even talk any tech at all.
We didn't. Hey, if you want to hang on after this call, I'll be willing to talk to you. I got time.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, wait a minute, because I have homemade pizza that's being made. After that, I definitely need a lot of advice. Like, I've watched your training with Jacqueline. I know that's what you do. I'm just like, I'm the technical neophyte. And I proudly wear that badge because I can't do anything about it. I can learn bit by bit. So if you are willing to help me and any other of my viewers or listeners that are also technical neophytes, please, please, please do, because a lot of us need the help.
I'm a natural teacher. I love teaching. I love when the light bulb turns on for people. That's what brings me joy. Okay, so you go and do what you got, because you're an hour behind me in New York, is that right? Yeah, what time is it? 6:45 here. 6:45 here, so it's 5:45 here. So I have a dinner reservation at 7. So I won't be leaving here till 6:30. So I got some time. Marvelous. I'm gonna press stop and then I'm calling you back. Sounds good. I'm serious. And then you know what? That means I need to do an after show like Andy Cohen. All right. Let me say goodbye. Goodbye, and then I'm gonna call you back. Sounds good. Thank you, Glenn. You're welcome. Thank you, Loretta. Oh, how do I stop this thing? Oh. There's a stop record button. Oh, yeah. I think I can read. Hold on. No, I can't see it. Oh, I can see it. There it is. From this moment on, you found easier, only to continue.
this moment on, you were me, dear, only 2:14, dear, every care is gone from this moment on. For you got the love I need so much. You got that skin I love to touch. Got the arms to hold me tight. Those sweet lips to kiss me goodnight. From this moment on, you were me, dear. Only 2:14, dear. Every care is gone. From this moment, from this moment, from this moment. Ah, yeah. Another favorite of mine. So many singers have sung this particular song. The most recent that I'm aware of, Miss Amy Winehouse. She did an incredible version. That's the beautiful thing about standards and jazz music. Everyone can put their own interpretation onto it. And they're all beautiful. So I hope you enjoy ours. There is no greater love than what I feel for you. No sweeter song, no higher so true. There is no greater thrill than what you bring to me. No greater love than what you bring to me. You're the sweetest thing that I have ever known, and I think that you are mine. You are mine alone. There's no greater love sweetest thing I've ever known. Oh, yeah, to know that you're mine. You are mine alone. There's no greater love, no greater love in the world. It's true. No greater love than what I feel for you.